Hello everyone, this is Melanie from Melanie B's Creative Studio, and what you're seeing is, yes, another shipper. Okay, so I ordered 3 shippers this time, and I am done for now, okay? I've made a semi-resolution. I don't make resolutions for New Year's, but this was something that I really wanted to get a lot better control of, and that is my spending. And I'm going to budget myself on how many paintings, products, and whatnot that I'm going to come out of pocket for in the future. So I need to try to stick to that budget. But these I ordered right after Christmas because they had come back into stock. And this was the original painting I wanted from the very beginning when I first started seeing the shippers come out and people were talking about them on the group. And I don't mean they had just come out like they're a brand new company. I mean that I had just found them. So I had my eyeball on this one and it had been out of stock forever. And Kirshner's, it wasn't necessarily a sale, but because I'm the Super Savers Club member, I get little special stuff. So sometimes I'll get free shipping, and that to me is worth its weight in gold because free shipping, their shipping is so expensive. So this painting is what we're going to talk about today. I'm not going to do all 3 of them this one time. I'm just going to do them in separate videos so I can keep it short and sweet for the most part. This piece is a 40 by 50 centimeter, which is fairly equivalent to a 16 by 20. You guys know I've talked about that. This piece will not go straight into a 16 by 20 frame because it is a little short from being a 16 by 20. So you'll have to come up with other options for this. But let's go ahead and take a look at this bad boy. The contents are always going to be the same on a shipper, so we really don't need to go into too much of that detail. I'm more about talking about the paint. So I'm going to move the paints out of the way just for a second. And same contents as always in their kits. Their reference guide is in this envelope here. Their kits do come with a paintbrush. So I decided the other day to swatch some of my paintings with the Schipper paintbrush just to get the hang of it. And I do like it a lot. So I think the more I use it, the more I will like it. And so that's a really nice thing to have a good paintbrush that comes with the kit. So I forgot to tell you exactly what the design's going to be. So this is going to be it. All right, and here's our canvas. As you can see, we have our gray lines and numbers, which is fabulous for coverage. It just makes it super easy to cover what's on here. I do gesso these pieces. Now, a Dimensions brand is a thinner board. The shippers are thicker. I've just done a video on gesso on a board like a shipper, so be watching for that video. But I tried it without it, and it was a little streaky, even though the paints are fabulous. I just feel like paints are streaky when you do not gesso with clear gesso. So I have been doing it. Now, people were concerned about whether it'd make it warp. All I did was once I dried the gesso, I put it face down on on top of that backing that I had used from the foam board for the dry mount video that's got that slick side to it, just so nothing would stick to it. And then I sat down a couple of boxes from Schipper on top, and that just kept it totally flat. So clear gesso is an optional thing for you on the shippers, but I found a huge difference before I did it to after I did it. So love it. I'm always going to gesso these types of paintings now because I'm used to it. So take a look at this palette. It's a very warm, very Italian feeling palette, if there is such a thing. That's just kind of the vibe it gives me, like Tuscany, you know. Let me turn these upside down so you can see them. Lots of purples and like the plums and the blues and the warms. I mean, fabulous palette, just beautiful, deep colors. And it's a rainbow array, but it's just that more of that natural side instead of the bright colors that we're used to from me. But this is a gorgeous palette. So let's talk about the paints. Now, not every time I come to you am I going to say, oh, the Schipper paints are fabulous. I mean, there's been a lot of fabulous paints in some of these kits. And this one had a great palette as well. So, and as far as coverage, every one of them appears to be opaque. Now this one, number 19, which is kind of this ochre, this yellow ochre color, and it's weird greenish ochre. It's like a baby dookie color. Sorry, y'all, I know that's gross, but that's just what it makes me think of. And that one is a little streaky. The red was a little bit streaky, but the coverage is great. And I think the only reason these were streaky is because I was being lazy and I wasn't stirring with my metal stirrer from the bottom on every color, because there was 36 colors. So when I do that, I don't have that problem with streaking, especially on the Schipper paints. So the big trick to Schipper paints is to make sure that you are stirring from the bottom with your stir stick. A toothpick may not get down in there low enough and give you enough leverage. So make sure you get down in there with that stir stick. And the lid has tons of paint in it. So that's where I actually paint from, is the lid. So if the lid has a lot of thick paint in it, be sure to add it back to the pot. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I think this is better to just do a visual. Let me see if I can find one that's like that. So I'm going to open one up. There's a ton of paint in this lid, right? That's where I paint from. Now, when I opened it, it kind of dripped down the side right here. These paints are so thin, you have to be careful opening your paint pots. I've actually had paint splatter on me. It's so thin. So if that happens, I just take my paintbrush and I kind of pull it and I scoop it back up into the little paint pot. And then I want to make sure I wipe off that paint around the edge so it doesn't get stuck in here. Now, I haven't had a problem with these sticking, but just saying, just to be careful. But there's a ton of paint in there. It's because I have them upside down right now. If you find that your paints are streaky at all with the Schippers, get your metal stir stick, get down in here, stir that up, and then mix them up together. And then you'll have the perfect consistency. I have not had to add flow aid to any of these paints up to this point. So I will clean that one up in a minute after this video. I don't see anything that's translucent or transparent. This yellow may end up having a little struggle, but I don't think it will, because once I gesso this board and I put these paints down, you guys, they're like magic. I don't know. I just don't know how to explain it otherwise. But the combination of the clear gesso, unsanded, don't sand your clear gesso. If you're going to sand it, don't put it on. It's pointless. You don't need a smooth texture. The roughness is what makes it work. So I have that question a lot, and I don't want to sound like I'm being bossy and bullyish, which just sounded a little bitchy, didn't it? But you guys, I see this all the time, and I'm like, okay, what is the purpose of putting it on if you're sanding it off? Does that even make sense? Like, the purpose is the tooth, is the texture. And no, I don't like the feel of it. It's like sandpaper. And I don't like my brushes going over it. But let me tell you something. When I use my brushes now with the cosmetic wipes and I'm cleaning and I'm rinsing and wiping on that cosmetic wipe every time, it has not destroyed my brushes. So for 4 or 5 months, I've been using the same brushes, detail brushes and everything. So anyway, the whole point of saying that is when I put gesso down on my board, my Schipper, and then I use these amazing paints, the two together are like, there's like angels singing in heaven, okay? That wasn't at all dramatic, was it? But it's true. It's like, oh. If only I could carry a tune in a bucket, right? Anyway, so that's it for today, you guys. This is going to be a gorgeous piece. I can't wait to get working on it, like everything else in my life. But it's a slow process. You know how this stuff works. It takes forever to do one painting. I'm over here with 28 billion works in progress and not feeling stressed at all. But you guys, that's it. And I'm glad you were with me today. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up on my video. And if you would like to subscribe, please do so. There's a little icon over there in that corner that you can click and subscribe. And join me on Patreon. Join us on Facebook at the group. And I will see you back soon. Thanks as always for watching.